This is a little video about a camper van that we built using a Toyota Hiace imported from Japan. Here are a few basic photos of it. We wanted to have it a nice homely feel, so we were thinking about the tiny home things. Now this is the bare roof, as you can see it, the process of putting the ceiling and the side panels in. This particular van had little side windows in the roof, which made it a lot more complicated to line it. So I had to make these wooden brackets that you can see on the side to hold the panelling, which would give it the right curve to fit the plastic shrouds that were fitted in there originally. So the lights have gone in there. Of course the wiring had to be done before. A lot of the wiring went on the floor, in the hollows in the floor, and of course a bunch of the other wiring went through the walls. First thing I had to put in was the gas bottle, so built a little home for that. This is before the back panel went on, obviously, and it looked reasonably tidy. A bit scary cutting a hole in your van, but you just get the grinder and go for it. Here you can see the side panels are on, the plastic shrouding is on, and you can see that bit of wood, which is Matai, which is a New Zealand hardwood, which came out of a 100-year-old house that was demolished. I basically cut it all up real fine, cut the different mouldings, and this is the finished effect that you get. Put speakers in there, put little reading lights in there, and then we put some lining on the wall below as well. This is the effect that you got. We had to glue some of the panels in the back with silicone, and hence the scarecrow, which was to protect the paintwork while it was up there. The bed slash seat, we decided to give a folding effect like this, and to make it even nicer, the seat would recline in angle. So you can see here the wheel is in the down position, the previous photo was in the up. So this is the effect that you're going to have. It'll have a pull-out drawer in the bottom, and this is where the two seats are put back to back, and you have a seat. So here you see the bottom panel, which is a footrest as well as a storage space like this. Then straight above that is a drawer, and of course above that you can lift the lid up to put more space, more things right underneath the seat. The drawer in the bottom, the footrest, has little rollers on it, so it rolls in and out really nice and easily. As you can see, it sits in the van quite nicely and gives you a bit of floor space, and when you pull it out as a bed there's less floor space, but of course it's a little more comfortable to sleep on like this. At the back like this you can use the rear bottom panel as a little table. So in a minute we're going to actually see a little video, and again you see the storage spaces available in there. A lot of storage. It's actually the main storage along with the area in the front above the cabin. Right. I can't actually see at the moment on the timeline when the video is coming up, but it should be here very shortly. Oh, here we go. It's coming up. It's coming up. Hold tight. So this is when you look at the back. So you can see the backs of the seats come down to give the inclined effect. But you can also see I have to tug it quite hard to pull it up. So later on you'll see I've changed that to make that a little friendlier. This is some of the Matai. I just basically ripped the boards lengthwise into 6mm little slabs and then lined everything with it, which gives you this kind of effect, which is of course much nicer than just looking at the plywood. And it looks a bit like that. We used flooring tiles that went on the floor to put on the top of the boxes. Beginning of the kitchen unit, we used a home sink and a little camping cooker. This is all puttied up, and this is then sanded with a bit of oil on it. The portable toilet fits in the space underneath on the right, under the sink. And of course we got the drawers in there. The little fridge sits underneath the cooker. And this is the battery box. We've got 3 solar panels, which I haven't got pictures of, at 100 watt each, so 300 watt solar, with a regulator which you can see there, and 2 inverters. You can see the battery in the back there, 280 amp hour. This is where I started putting in the top box. It was a little scary cutting that liner, so I got a little laser from china that projects a straight line, set it all up, and then carefully ran the grinder along the whole width of that hood so I can get the top of it off and get a nice straight line. And then lined it again with the Matai, which gives it quite a homely, nice sort of feel. The hole you can see in the top left there is for the little ventilator, which will go in shortly. So this is the lining of the box for the battery. I haven't done a video like this before. This is my first attempt. I know this is a terrible sounding microphone, but it's better than nothing. At least you can hear something. So again, lining the Matai gives a whole completely different feeling to it. The little door on the back goes inwards to reveal the fuse box and all that sort of thing. This is the box and the cabinet in the front, which holds the rubbish bin. Little sliding bolts, which are a pain to put on because the screws are just useless. Alright, all the Matai's on, and this is just before I put it into the van. That slot in the top holds a cutting board, which is made out of solid Matai. The odd shape you see in the back there goes over where the engine protrudes through the firewall, or rather where the firewall bends out. Some of the plumbing, the cutting board is in, fridge is in. As you can see, it looks quite sort of homely and warm. On the right bottom you can see the drain tank, which is where the sink drains into, and that can be drained from the outside with hoses. Right, this is the beginning of the table, and here you can see how the tap works. Main tap and then a filter tap. So there's actually two nozzles. One is filtered water, one is plain water, and I'm really pleased to put that in because the difference is quite phenomenal in the taste. So before, you might have noticed it showed all the holes in the van in the bodywork, and so that was part of the lining. These are the hatches I put in the side. We've put a diesel heater in it, and that red tank is just a jerry can, and I've put the diesel intake in the top of it, and this is the freshwater tank which sits in the bottom. So again, there's the jerry can all strapped up, and there's the diesel pump which takes the fuel to the heater. The heater puts out about 2000 watts equivalent, which of course in a little space like that is more than enough to get you really toasty. So the van can be used in the winter. We could go skiing, go to the snow, and turn this thing on and have a nice cozy warm fan. There's the diesel drawer coming from the top of the tank. So the panels, you can see one of the panels sitting there for the seat belt, around the seat belt, and this is the box that holds the heater. It sits right next to the box that holds the gas bottle, and this is the bottom of the heater: air intake, fuel intake, and exhaust outlet. Quite easy to install, a little bit fidgety, but not really that hard to install, and the output is fantastic. So here you can see the heater sitting on the tyre box. The cushions, I sewed all the cushions myself, and this is the air vent on the top of the roof, and this is the air vent that it looks like inside. I put a little resistor on the switch so you have a low speed and a high speed. The lights can be turned on both the front and the back. This is the revised mechanism for the box, using the longer arms, which basically gives you a lot more leverage. So now it is actually really quite effortless. You might want to play this back, and you can see the wheels going up and down, lifting the back of the box, making it sit flat. So this is the finished result, or largely finished. All the Matai makes it look nice. The seat covers are nice. Yeah, the whole thing has quite a homely feel. You can see the heater, all you can see from it is that vent in the corner in the back there. Curtain tracks on both sides. I sewed all the curtains myself, which was quite a major mission. Here's a cutting board. Again, you can see that heater vent. Originally you could see the edge of the plywood, so I stuck a little tiny strip of Matai on the edge of the floor, both by the sliding door and the back, because obviously that makes it look so much nicer. Also the front of the ply and the bed still needed that, so I'll put a little bit on there. The front of the box Well, the kitchen was quite ugly because it needed a hole for the seat to go in, so I put some material on the little strip light over the kitchen, and these are the curtains up. I've put little tiny magnets in the bottom hems, so the magnets clip onto the steel body work of the van, giving you a tidy sort of finish, and yeah, it just looks nice, and of course it'll keep the cold out better too. Front curtain, and that's how the curtains tie up, with a little bit of Velcro strip. So it's all neatly tucked away. The lights are dimmable. We've got a little remote control for the dimmer. There's a little electric pump for the water, so the water just automatically works. The table sits on a swivel arm, and so you can swivel that in and out like that. You can have it for one person like this, or you can turn it round and use it for two people and have your dinner on it. And when you don't use it, it just tucks away against the window like that. We can clip the seat in. As you see, that motion is now very easy because it had those leverage arms. We're going to call them tiny house campers. And so these is a little play with the emblem. This is just photoshopped. It's not actually at the moment on the van, but that's kind of what it'll look like. So there's our little van, and I hope you enjoyed this.